Hello. I just want to share with you something quite exciting that I'm working on now. Me and Bernd Moosmann, we are experimenting a little bit with the wing joint of the bassoon. As you have probably heard in several videos of mine now, is that these notes here we're using for high notes. E flat, E, F, F sharp. And I've always been wondering, is it possible to go higher up? Does that really work? And that question was basically answered almost 20 years ago when the high F sharp was made, also by Moosmann, and together with my father, Robert Rannes. And because from what I have heard, they also tried to go higher, but apparently it was just eerie sounds and it didn't really work. So I believed that also for many years, until quite recently. And then I contacted Moosmann about this, and I asked him if he had an old or basically bad wing joint laying around that he would not sell, that I could experiment with. And he said, yeah, he had something like that laying around. So he actually sent me one here, completely, not lacked or anything like this, not a finished product, but a professionally made wing joint by Moosmann. I guess the reason why he doesn't want to sell it, it has a little crack here, but everything works with it. And the plan here is then, I asked Moosmann to actually drill in all the holes for the high notes. So, for E flat, E, F, F sharp, and to try to also do a G. Of course, this is something that has not really been done before, so we have no clue really where to drill. But there has been drilled a G on this, or at least more or less where we believe it is. I cannot show the toneholes here now, also because the high F sharp is drilled in here, and from what I know, Moosmann is the only one who actually does that. So some secrets is maybe allowed to have, measurements and stuff like that. But I would like to show a little bit to you how things work. And also one thing that I need to do before I do that even is actually to make this fit on my bassoon, because currently I can put it on, but the wing joint is too thick that my bass joint won't fit as well if I take this down the boot joint. So I will need to sandpaper here quite a lot to make it fit, and then we will see if it works. Currently I have only been testing this without the bass joint, so I know that the high notes here, they work. It goes up to G. However, of course, when you add the bass joint, you're adding also some resonance and it does things to the sound as well. So it's very important for me that I can play this with the bass joint on. But just to show you without the bass joint first. So just before I play it actually, now it is connected to the boot joint. And as you can obviously see, there is no key work on this tenor joint. So I will actually need to use all my fingers to currently play these notes on the tenor joint. Normally I would have used some of my fingers on the right hand for playing these notes. So of course some of them would be more in tune if I would need to play it this way. In other words, when I add keyboard to this in the future, if that happens, then this will be less of an issue. But here we go up to G. I will now start on E flat, more or less. So that is only wing joint vents here, going all the way up chromatically up to G. So it is possible to do. But yeah, very first now, I would need to sand down here to make it fit with the bass joint. So let's do that. As you can see here, currently this is not possible. I'm not able to fit the bass joint on yet. Still doesn't work, but it's getting better. But okay, I need to continue more. Okay, so now I've been doing this for quite a while, and I did it by hand so far. Of course, in the very start, I was very, very careful. I have never done something like this before, so I didn't know also how fragile everything is. But then after some time, you really realize that this wood is pretty robust. This will take quite a while. So let's go. Okay, so now down here, it actually fits very well now. The next problem is around up here and up here, because here is bending upwards, and currently my bass joint doesn't fit here. So now I will just sandpaper here, and we are getting closer. So we are getting further. Now I can fit both the tenor joint and the bass joint into the booth joint together, which is great. So this will actually be the very first time when I also get to hear what happens to these notes when the bass joint is connected. Do they change anything? Of course, still they will not be perfectly in tune because, as I said, normally I would add some fingers on the right hand on the booth joint for these fingers. So intonation is probably still not perfect, but let's see what happens. That is very, very good news. And then I really believe I will not need to really drill a new high G hole. I don't think it's necessary, but I would like it to be sharper. So then next up is to expand the tone hole for high G. So then we try to expand the G hole with 0.5 millimeter and we see what happens. Ready? Done. Okay, so now we have made the G hole slightly bigger, 0.5 millimeter bigger in diameter. So let's see if that's enough to make it in tune. It's still too flat according to the tuner, which is on 442 right now. So I would actually try now to drill a new high G, which is higher up on the wing joint. So let's do that. So then I'm back here, and here is the G hole that we expanded by 0.5 millimeter last time. This made it sharper, but not sharp enough, which means I should drill a new hole. And of course it would be higher up, but the challenge is exactly where. And considering also the bore of the instrument is a conical bore, then of course it gets more and more narrow the higher up you go. And that you need to keep in mind when you also calculate where you should drill. So it cannot really be the same distance between all the holes. So personally, I think I know the measurements between the holes and I know the angle it's drilled on. So then I would imagine it would be, I measured it there, but maybe even a little bit higher, maybe around, I think around here, probably. And then just to have it on the same, like, so the middle is more or less here, on that X. Okay, so I will try to do that and we see what happens. Okay, so then we try to drill a new high G. Let's see. I think it should be around here. Hold it tight. Exactly, like that. And that's of course with the small drill. So now we will take on the bigger one and expand the hole. So then the wing joint is back on after having drilled the new high G. As always with this wing joint, I will need both hands to operate this. So right now, the notes I will play chromatically before the G, they will be too flat. Because normally this right hand I will have down on the boot joint, pressing down some keys that will make this sharper. So please excuse the first notes now, they will not be in tune. But if the G is in tune, that's what we're trying to do. Because on the G, then ideally you would only press down a G key and a high D key. If that works, then mission accomplished. So let's see, is it in tune now? This is a tuner in 442, which is what I'm tuning in normally, and that was the green light. So I think we can say mission accomplished on a high G. And important before the video ends is I would like to test what happens when this tenor joint is on now and you play in the normal range. So what I have done is I've covered all the tone holes on this wing joint now with either some cheap crap tape or some like rubber pins that I put into the tone holes here. So right now this is functioning as a completely normal wing joint. So this would be then equivalent to now normal wing joint with a high G drilled in and playing in a normal range. What happens then? Of course, some notes I cannot play. For example, C sharp. There is no whisper keys here. It's basically the same as I'm used to, more or less. Of course, different wing joint. Maybe some notes are a little bit different intonation, especially since it doesn't have some tone holes and stuff like that. But like sound quality wise, I wouldn't notice much difference than what I'm used to. I can try to play chromatically as much as possible without having these extra keys here now. C sharp is not possible. And above G sharp I cannot really go, because then you need the whisper keys and I don't have them right now. In other words, yeah, you can play everything as you're used to with having the high G drilled in. So to finally finish off this video, I would just like to thank Bernd Moosmann so much for allowing me to be crazy together and for letting me borrow, or for letting me get this wing joint here, and for letting me experiment on it. Thank you so much. It wouldn't be possible without you. So that being said, see you next time.